January 2023. The final Boeing 747-8F ever built is delivered to Atlas Air in Everett, Washington. This isn't just any aircraft, it's the last 747 ever produced, ending a production run that spanned 54 years. Boeing doesn't keep it for a museum. It doesn't sell it to a major passenger airline. Instead, they hand the keys to Atlas Air, a cargo operator most travelers have never heard of. But here's what makes no sense. Atlas Air doesn't just operate this brand new 747, it has dozens of aircraft that other airlines have retired. Old 747-400s that carriers retired years ago, aging 767s that passenger carriers deemed obsolete. And Atlas isn't alone. Cargo carriers have built empires on aircraft that passenger airlines consider too old. The numbers are staggering. Atlas Air alone operates 65 Boeing 747 freighters, making them the world's largest operator of a type that most airlines abandoned a decade ago. AerCap has delivered over 100 passenger-to-freighter conversions, turning retired jets into money-printing machines. These aren't desperate operators clinging to outdated technology, they're generating billions in revenue from aircraft that passenger airlines literally paid to get rid of. The reason why reveals an industry that powers everything from your Amazon packages to global supply chains, one that most people don't even know exists. To understand how retired passenger aircraft became billion-dollar assets, we need to examine a fundamental truth about aviation economics that passenger airlines and cargo operators see completely differently. When an airline retires a 747-400, they see an aging aircraft with outdated avionics, declining fuel efficiency, and maintenance costs that climb every year. The aircraft has served its purpose, time to move on. But when a cargo carrier looks at that same aircraft, it sees something entirely different. It sees an airframe designed to last 30 to 40 years that's barely halfway through its service life. It sees an aircraft whose acquisition cost has plummeted to a fraction of its original price. And most importantly, it sees cargo capacity that no modern aircraft can match. This perspective gap created an opportunity that Michael Chowdhury recognized in 1992 when he founded Atlas Air. His vision was elegantly simple: acquire aircraft that passenger airlines no longer want and deploy them in markets where their unique characteristics become advantages rather than liabilities. The model worked spectacularly. From a single aircraft in 1992, Atlas grew to serve hundreds of destinations worldwide through cargo flights, ACMI contracts, and charter services. ACMI, standing for Aircraft, Crew, Maintenance, and Insurance, allowed other companies to tap into cargo capacity without owning aircraft themselves. This was recognizing value that others had discarded. The math behind this business model defies conventional wisdom about asset depreciation. Consider a Boeing 747-400 when new. In the early 1990s, these aircraft sold for approximately $200 million. Airlines flew them on prestigious long-haul routes, packed with premium passengers, paying top dollar for the privilege. 2 decades later, those same aircraft became available for a fraction of that price. Some sold for less than $50 million. For cargo operators, this created an extraordinary opportunity. They could acquire aircraft with decades of useful life remaining at prices that allowed profitability, even with higher operating costs. The key insight is that cargo economics operate fundamentally differently from passenger economics. Passenger airlines obsess over fuel efficiency because they fly the same routes multiple times daily. Every percentage point of fuel burn compounds across thousands of flights annually. A 15% efficiency advantage translates into hundreds of millions in savings over an aircraft's lifetime. Cargo operators fly different patterns. Their aircraft often complete 1 or 2 long-haul flights daily, rather than the 4 to 6 rotations common in passenger service. The compounding effect of fuel inefficiency is dramatically reduced, and the cargo doesn't complain about legroom or meal service. This explains why aircraft that failed spectacularly in passenger service found remarkable success hauling freight. If acquiring retired aircraft cheaply was the first pillar of this industry, the passenger-to-freighter conversion business became the second. AerCap has emerged as the global leader in this transformation. Serving hundreds of customers worldwide, it recognized that the real value wasn't just in moving used aircraft between operators, it was fundamentally reimagining what those aircraft could do. The conversion process is extraordinarily complex. Engineers must strip the passenger interior completely, reinforce the floor structure to handle concentrated cargo loads, install a large cargo door in the fuselage, and modify systems throughout the aircraft. The process takes months and costs tens of millions of dollars. But the economics work beautifully. A passenger-to-freighter conversion typically costs a fraction of a new-built freighter, and the resulting aircraft can operate profitably for another 15 to 20 years. In 2023, AerCap celebrated a milestone, their 50th Boeing 737-800 converted freighter delivery. These aircraft, retired from passenger service with airlines worldwide, found a new purpose, hauling express packages and e-commerce shipments. The 737-800 conversion program exemplifies the model perfectly. Airlines have been retiring these aircraft as they transition to newer 737 MAX variants or A320neo family aircraft. AerCap acquires them at depreciated prices, converts them to freighters, and leases them to cargo operators hungry for capacity. Everyone wins, except the aircraft junkyards. The most dramatic recent development in this shadow industry came in September 2025, when AerCap delivered the first two Boeing 777-300 ERSF aircraft to Kalitta Air. This conversion program represents the cutting edge of freighter transformation technology. The 777-300ER was originally designed as a long-haul passenger aircraft, one of Boeing's most successful wide-body programs. Airlines loved it for its range and passenger capacity, but those same characteristics make it extraordinarily valuable as a freighter. The converted 777-300 ERSF offers 811 cubic meters of cargo space and can carry up to 100 metric tons of payload. The program began with an agreement in 2019 and achieved certification from both the Israeli Civil Aviation Authority and the FAA in 2025. This dual certification opened global markets for the converted aircraft. For Kalitta Air, the launch operator, these conversions represent a strategic transformation. The company aims to phase out older freighters while improving range, payload capacity, and efficiency for global operations. It's not buying new aircraft, it's buying better-than-new performance from aircraft that passenger airlines considered end-of-life. Challenge Group signed to become the first European operator of the 777-300 ERSF in January 2015, leasing two aircraft from AerCap. They celebrated the milestone in Malta, marking Europe's entry into this new era of converted freighters. While AerCap handles the conversion business, operators like Atlas Air and Kalitta Air fly the aircraft that make this industry work. Atlas Air's current fleet tells the story of aviation's circular economy. It operates converted and non-converted 747-400, 747-8F, 767-300F, and 777F. Some of these airframes are second-hand or repurposed, aircraft that other operators retired. Its approximately 60 Boeing 747 freighters represent one of the largest 747 fleets in the world. But Atlas Air's business model extends far beyond simple cargo operations. Its ACMI contracts allow passenger airlines, express cargo carriers, freight forwarders, and even the US military to tap into capacity without owning aircraft. This flexibility helped Atlas Air survive challenges that would have destroyed conventional airlines. The company filed for bankruptcy protection in 2004 during an industry downturn, but the business model proved resilient enough to emerge stronger, eventually thriving in the post-pandemic cargo boom. The business of flying rejected aircraft isn't without danger, as recent events have demonstrated. Western global airlines operate a fleet of aging wide-body freighters, including Boeing 747-400Fs and McDonnell Douglas MD-11Fs. The MD-11, famously rejected by passenger airlines after disappointing range and fuel efficiency, found a second life in cargo service, but that second life came with inherited problems. Following the crash of UPS Flight 2976 in November 2025, the FAA issued an emergency airworthiness directive grounding all MD-11 aircraft, which prompted serious action. Western Global initiated significant employee furloughs in November 2025, as most of its MD-11 Air fleet was grounded and placed in storage. The incident highlighted a fundamental tension in this industry. Older aircraft may offer compelling economics, but they carry maintenance requirements and potentially safety vulnerabilities that compound over time. Western Global's challenge illustrates that the economics of obsolete aircraft can shift rapidly. Insurance costs rise, regulatory scrutiny intensifies. Customers became nervous. The margin between profitable operation and forced retirement can be razor thin. Despite these risks, demand for converted freighters continues to accelerate. Airbus projects the global dedicated freighter fleet to grow approximately 45% over the next 2 decades, reaching 3,420 aircraft by 2044. Of the 2,605 additional freighters required, a remarkable 1,670 will be passenger-to-freighter conversions. North America and Asia-Pacific are expected to account for nearly 2/3 of this demand, with approximately 920 and 850 aircraft, respectively, over the next 20 years. The drivers are clear. E-commerce growth shows no sign of slowing. Supply chain resilience has become a strategic priority for companies worldwide. The hunger for cargo capacity extends far beyond the traditional markets of North America and Europe. Emerging economies need freight capacity, and converted aircraft offer the most cost-effective path to building that capacity. The converted freighter industry that companies have built reveals something profound about value in aviation. Passenger airlines optimize for one set of metrics: speed to market with the latest technology, fuel efficiency that compounds across high-frequency routes, cabin products that attract premium passengers willing to pay for comfort. Cargo operators optimize for entirely different metrics: acquisition cost relative to remaining useful life, payload capacity matched to route requirements, fleet commonality that reduces training and maintenance complexity. These different optimization targets create an ecosystem where aircraft can serve multiple masters over their lifetimes. A 747-400 might fly first-class passengers across the Pacific for 15 years, then haul Amazon packages for another 15. The companies that recognized this opportunity built a shadow industry that most travelers never see. When your overnight packages arrive on time, there's a reasonable chance it flew on an aircraft that United or British Airways abandoned a decade ago. In an industry obsessed with the newest technology and the latest efficiency improvements, cargo operators prove that sometimes the most valuable aircraft, it isn't the one that just rolled off the assembly line, it's the one that someone else decided they didn't want anymore. As long as packages need to move across oceans and supply chains need capacity that new production cannot fill, the business of buying rejected aircraft will continue generating billions. The shadow industry that most travelers never see has become essential infrastructure for global commerce. Hey, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like this video next, so why not check it out?